Today's story is not about a Chinese AI chip suddenly leaping to the cutting edge and overtaking NVIDIA. If anything, it's closer to the opposite. If you look at the hardware alone, China is still in a pretty tough spot. But does that mean China's AI is about to crumble? I don't see it that way at all. Today, I want to untangle this strange twist together with you, step by step.
Hello everyone, I'm Ty, and I break down semiconductor news on this channel. I've spent 31 years in the semiconductor industry. Today's topic is a Chinese AI chip startup called Dongfang Suanxin. If you watch this video to the end, you'll come away with the correct reading of this news, which parts are the real deal, which parts are still more hype than substance, and how all of this connects back to Japan. Before we get into the main story, I'd like you to picture a small neighborhood diner as you listen today. Right in front of the station, there's a big nationwide restaurant chain. It buys premium imported ingredients by the truckload, cooks in a spotless, gleaming kitchen, and serves dishes that nobody could possibly complain about. First, keep this powerful competitor firmly in mind. Now, right across the street, a small family diner is trying to open its doors. But here's the problem. This little place can't get its hands on those premium imported ingredients. Its supply routes have been cut off. So making exactly the same dish as the big chain and beating them head-on with it is simply impossible from the very start. So the owner of this diner starts thinking. The size of the table is fixed. If you can't line up more plates side by side, then stack the food higher instead. Pile the dishes up vertically on a single plate to deliver volume and satisfaction. It's a clever workaround, born of necessity, for competing within a limited space. There's one more trick, the location of the kitchen. Normally, the kitchen sits at the back of the restaurant, but this owner deliberately puts it right next to the seats. The moment a dish is ready, it reaches the table in just a few steps. The shorter the carrying distance, the faster you can serve food piping hot, fresh off the stove. The owner is trying to elevate the dining experience through this closeness. That said, it's not all upside. A plate stacked high is easy to topple, and the heat gets trapped inside. Stacking one experimental plate is one thing. Serving 100 meals a day at consistent quality is a completely different challenge. Even so, the owner keeps the place running with local ingredients, original recipes, loyal regulars, and a delivery network. He's searching for a way to survive that's different from beating the chain. With this picture in mind, let's get into the actual news. First, let's lay out the facts. Dongfang Suanxin is a Chinese AI chip startup founded in 2024. Until now, it had been operating in stealth mode, staying completely out of the public eye. But it has just launched its official website and social media accounts for the first time and started communicating publicly. The company is led by Wei Xiaojun, who also serves as vice president of the China Semiconductor Industry Association. The company highlights two core technologies. The first is the software-defined chip, the idea of flexibly reconfiguring the chip's architecture through software. The second is 3D-Stacked near-memory computing, performing calculations close to the memory to cut the losses from moving data around. In our diner analogy, the second one is the vertical stacking, plus putting the kitchen right next to the seats. The first is like reconfiguring that same kitchen day by day, depending on the orders coming in. What matters here is that all of this is being framed as a response to U.S. export restrictions. China cannot freely access the most advanced manufacturing equipment or leading-edge GPUs. So instead of trying to break through head-on with cutting-edge process technology alone, they're combining 3D stacking, chiplets, near-memory computing, and a domestic supply chain to secure AI computing power through a different route. That's the real positioning of this story. Let's also look at the money. According to secondary reports, the company completed its Series A+ round at the end of April 2026. The post-money valuation is said to be roughly 12.275 billion yuan, about 250 billion Japanese yen, or around 1.7 billion US dollars. This is based on media reports, mind you, but for a startup only 2 years old, that is a remarkably large valuation. As for who the investors are, we'll dig into what that lineup really means in the second half.
Now, here's where I put on my professional hat and dig deeper. The single most important caveat first. Launching an official website and shipping mass-produced chips to data centers are two completely different things. According to secondary reports, even the flagship DF1000 series is still at the concept or prototype stage at this point. Performance, customers, manufacturing partners, yield, shipment volume, all the parts that actually matter are still invisible.
And then there's the wall of mass production. 3D stacking and near-memory computing sound attractive as words, but mass production is a whole different story. The higher you stack, the harder everything gets, all at once. Heat dissipation, yield, bonding, testing, packaging. AI chips in particular are power-hungry and demand huge memory bandwidth, so heat and yield weigh on you heavily. Remember the diner. Stacked plates topple easily and trap heat. That exact problem shows up here, but on an entirely different order of severity. This trend connects to Huawei's Tau scaling law, which I covered in a previous video. Because of export controls, China can't freely reach the most advanced process nodes, or EUV lithography. So rather than slugging it out in the same ring as NVIDIA and TSMC, they look for a different path through 3D stacking, chiplets, near-memory computing, and software optimization. I take this not as a declaration of victory, but as a survival strategy. Let me be honest with you. Looking at hardware alone, China is still struggling. GPUs, HBM, EDA tools, manufacturing equipment, materials, and leading-edge foundries. Across this entire supply chain, the West still holds the advantage. NVIDIA's latest GPUs, TSMC's advanced process nodes, HBM from SK Hynix and Micron, and the software ecosystem built around CUDA. That combination is formidable, and overtaking it head-on in a short period of time is, I believe, extremely difficult. But if we stop the story there, we'd be misreading the true nature of China's AI. I don't believe China's AI will crumble easily, because the AI race is not decided by chips alone. China has enormous domestic demand and government procurement, plus giant telecom, cloud, and internet companies. On top of that, model companies like DeepSeek are pushing ahead with optimization for Huawei's Ascend chips. Even if the catalog specs fall short, if you narrow the use cases and tune the models and the cloud to fit the chip, it can absolutely work in practice. And the investor lineup backs this up. According to secondary reports, alongside the state-backed National AI Industry Investment Fund, the names include the venture arms of Xiaomi and JD.com, as well as Yunfeng Capital. The state fund brings policy support. Xiaomi brings devices and hardware. JD.com brings real demand from e-commerce, logistics, and cloud. And Yunfeng brings private tech capital. This is not just an investment in a chip company. They're combining domestic capital, demand, cloud, and model companies to build an AI infrastructure that runs on its own inside China. Seen that way, the meaning of this story changes completely. So, how does this connect to Japan? Here, let's take the investor's perspective. If China is serious about growing an AI infrastructure that runs domestically, what really gets moving is HBM demand, the domestic supply chain, and investment in advanced packaging. And Japan is strong precisely in materials, equipment, and back-end processing and packaging. Rather than asking, will China overtake NVIDIA? The better question is, as China digs this alternative route, which sectors will see demand move? That's the angle that offers far more upside for Japan. Let's wrap up today's story. On hardware, China is struggling. But China's AI won't crumble easily. Whether Dongfang Suanxin can actually reach mass production is still unknown, and the hurdles are high. But looking at China's AI as a whole, beating NVIDIA with leading-edge GPUs is not the only path to winning. Domestic demand, government support, talent, model development, cloud infrastructure, and optimization for homegrown chips. Combine all of these, and a separate AI sphere, distinct from the American one, could very well emerge. So here's my take. I don't see Dongfang Suanxin as the company that beat NVIDIA. Instead, I see it as a clear, easy-to-read signal that China has started searching for ways to win that don't require beating NVIDIA at all. Now, what about you? Do you see this Chinese alternative route strategy as a genuine threat? Or do you think it's still more expectation than reality? Please let me know in the comments. That's all for today. I'll keep bringing you semiconductor news and analysis, so if you found this useful, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. This has been Ty on Semiconductor News Decoded.